Listen, imagine a world in which superheroes are the most corrupt people. This is the world of The Boys. This is the world where the bad guy wins. And this world is much like our world. It's interesting because The Boys is like many comic books in which you have superheroes that actually kill people. And they don't just kill bad people, they kill people who get in their way. Kind of interesting twist of things. So, as many comic book collectors know, in the comics, there were heroes that actually killed people. So, for example, one of my favorite heroes, Batman, has been completely sanitized. The original version of Batman, he would go around with a gun and just shoot people. The rule of not killing people came later. So why is this important? This is important because The Boys is not a black or white show. So some of the quote-unquote supes are evil, and some of the supes are good. So we can take an example of a supe pretty much who's good is Starlight. Her character pretty much flat arc, the whole first season, good character. So all of the stuff that I mentioned is important in the big picture. Let's backtrack a little bit and get to some of the main points about the show. So the main characters that we have are the Seven, which are the seven quote-unquote superheroes that work for a company called Vought. And then we have the people who are attempting to take them down, who are called the Boys. There's this idea that the heroes are actually born this way. The main point you want to get about the Boys is it's black humor. 100%. 100% of what you're watching is black humor. And pretty much underline, there's scenes that you'll either laugh or you'll be disgusted, but really it's dark humor. That's the main idea. There's satire. There's a little bit of parody. So the progressive messaging, or quote-unquote WOKE nature or woke nature to this series was always present with the series. So I want to just take this time to put that in there, because a lot of times, like I've seen other people, they say whatever they say, but there's this idea that later on the Boys changed, and the Boys never changed. The Boys might have gone to different levels over some of the other seasons, but just keeping in with this first season, it's pretty consistent, the messaging. So for example, there are episodes which are very, very critical of the Christian church. It's pretty much in your face, very clear. That happens within the first 3 episodes. There's criticism of capitalism and the corporate nature and some of the quote-unquote underhanded things that happen at the corporate level. That's every single show. If you're not interested in getting hit over the head with some of the messaging, maybe this is not the show for you. If you want something very, very sanitized, maybe this is not the show for you. So the most important character from my purview is really Homelander. Really, without Homelander, there is no The Boys show. So even though the landscape is littered with many different characters who have really strong screen presence or integral parts of the actual Boys cosmos, really the show is really hinged around the behavior of Homelander. I would even really say that without Anthony Starr playing Homelander, there really is no show. There are a lot of exaggerated caricatures or really stereotypes of different groups. So for example, the character of A-Train he's just like a walking stereotype of every stereotype you can think of. He's just basically a quote-unquote thug. What else can you say? And they don't really explain like how he got that way. They just have him pretty much starting off on the wrong foot. He's a villain pretty much, but they don't really explain whatsoever how he came to be the way he is. And I say that because, for example, if you compare A-Train and then Homelander in the first season, Homelander has more of a range of behavior. Now, his behavior is pretty much 75-85% evil, but there's a depth to his character. Whereas like A-Train, there really is no depth to his character. It's just like one-dimensional is all you get. So why is this a problem? Well, I mean, this is a little bit of a problem for a quote-unquote progressive show that's supposedly woke, to have some of the same old ancient stereotypes about black men is kind of corny, to be quite honest. Does that really get in the way of one's enjoyment of the show? Not necessarily, but it's just to be very, very clear, this is what's going on. There are other stereotypes in the show. So for example, Starlight is a little bit stereotypical. Now, some people have told me like it's just a flat arc of her character. Yeah, that may be the case, but the kind of Midwest blonde who doesn't totally know what's going on, that's a little bit of a stereotype as well. And Starlight's character was a little bit sanitized from what they had in the comics. So what are major spoilers? So I'm not really going to give you any. So the script's very, very good. Most of the actors, the acting's really, really good. There really are not too many plot holes. There might be some things that might come off as jarring. There might be some things that might, quote unquote, trigger people. That may happen. But overall, for the whole season, I would say that everything was pretty much written very, very well. And one could expect that the whole thing, so one could expect the whole thing was pretty much on the dark side. Outside of that, there's not really any specific spoilers that I want to give. I would just like keep an open mind as far as pretty much the character development. And I think I hit the main points where I was kind of like, what are they doing with that? So if you've gotten this far in the video, I want to thank you for your time. Please give me a like. If you want, share it, subscribe. Have a good one.